Hi, we're the CANA and today we're going to be talking about friendships. So if you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you like, comment and subscribe. Now sit back, relax and enjoy the show. So today we're going to be talking about friendships. So we're talking about how we view friendship in our 30s, how easy it is to make friends in our 30s, and our previous experiences with friendship. So what would you say about making friends in your 30s, Natalie?
Sometimes making my friends in my 30s can be a bit... I found it a little bit difficult, especially people my own age. But I found it easier because I've got friends who are older and just a little bit older than I am. So I found it easier in that way because people are so free and they found who they are, and I'm trying to find out who I am. So I'm almost there now. So for me, yeah, I found it okay making friends in my 30s, yeah.
I don't have as many friends in my 30s as I did in my teens and my 20s.
I agree with that.
I had a lot of, I wouldn't even call them friends really, I'd say acquaintances. But now thinking back on it, a lot of people who I was friendly with when I was, like I say, in my teens and 20s. Now in my 30s, my friend group has got a lot smaller. It's not as big as it used to be. There's only a sort of, I would say, a handful of people that I would consider my friends. Like, as in true friends, friends that I feel like I can sort of count on, I can speak to, and that I can relate to. Yeah, it's a handful of people. And I don't find it easy to make genuine friendships in my 30s. I think even in my 30s, the people that I kind of encounter newly, they come on more of an, like I said, an acquaintance kind of thing, rather than it being a genuine friendship. I mean, sometimes it might develop into that. I haven't had that for a while, but yeah, it's not as easy making like genuine friends in your 30s. And I don't think even regularly, like I don't think it's easy to make genuine friends. Those things happen rarely sometimes because not everyone's got the same approach to friendship.
Yeah.
For me, I've always found it difficult making friends, but I'll go back to that later on. In my 30s, I found it especially difficult because everyone's busy. We have our own lives to lead, and I think we live in a flaky society.
Yeah.
And I admit to it, I'm 100% flaky. You feel like going somewhere or doing something, but when the time comes, you're tired and you don't want to do it anymore, And I feel that a lot of time when I meet people, the friendship doesn't really last because you don't always make the effort to progress the friendship and see each other regularly. So they'll flake out or I will flake out and we'll just stop texting. So I think that's the most common problem I have with turning acquaintances into friends.
I agree with that. I have a small friendship group. Let's say I was talking a couple of weeks ago to a friend of mine, and I was saying that the difference between when I was in my 20s to now, I have different groups of friends. I have my very close friends that I have acquaintance with, and friends that I can do other things with that my other friends won't do. But I know who my true friends are. Some friendships group like going out, some friendships like staying in. It's all different, and some can go out and some can't. It's all different situations. I have different friendship groups in that way, but I know who my true friends are. The friends I can go on holiday with, the friends who I can go out with, friends who I can chill and have a movie with or go out for dinner, and that's fine. And I feel that without feeling bad or anything, sometimes it's good to have those type of friends because not always I feel like I want to go anywhere or I don't want to do anything or anything like that, or I want to do something small, whereas other friends are like, oh, well, let's do something big and it's expensive and it costs lots of money, and it's just like, I feel like now in my 30s I can kind of choose and say, I don't feel like it.
I mean, like I say, again, I don't want to use the word friend loosely, but I have acquaintances or people who I'm friendly with who I know I can do certain things with, and certain things that we have in common that maybe my other group of friends may not be interested in doing. And I think it's good to have a different group of people that you can do different types of things with. But in actual like friendship side of things, I don't feel like it's easy to, even if you want to do other things with people, to find, I don't know, have that genuine connection with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That for me is quite difficult sometimes, and like I say, like, it's only a handful of people that I feel like they're genuinely my friend and I'm genuinely their friend. Because I feel like with me, if I'm your friend and I say that you're my friend, so I'm loyal to you and I am there for you and I'm supportive to you and I'm open to that relationship, and I take those kind of relationships very seriously. And I feel like I've always been that way since I've been young, and I've been burned by a lot of people because I have been so sort of loyal and like ride or die for my friends. That has taught me a lot of life lessons on how to deal with people and how to categorize friends and acquaintances and people I'm friendly with.
I agree.
For me, I have been burned by friendships way more than romantic relationships. I think my main issue that I've had is having high expectations of people. So I would take the friendship more seriously than the other person, and they would show disloyalty. And I think that also made me scared to make friends, because I was scared that the same things would happen over and over, and actually it has. So I think now in my 30s, I'm more reluctant to try and pursue a close relationship. I tend to have more acquaintances because I'm able to do different things with different people, and I don't have the drama of friendship. My 30s have made me more reluctant, but also I think I'm more lonely than I used to be. In my 20s, it was a lot easier to make friends because, you know, you make friends at university, you make friends at work, you have different places where you make friends. And I felt as I've gotten older, I've been less social and less involved with things. So I found it a lot difficult to meet new people.
What's your worst friendship situation that you've had where you felt that you've been burned or
I have stories for days.
Well, give us a
I'll
few.
tell you one story. I remember when I was living with a group of girls, my second year of university. My third year of university, I was going to move in with two of them. And one of my friends, she was my close friend, but she was quite flaky and not very loyal. Do you know the kind of girls that put boys in front of the friendship?
Yeah.
She was one of those kind of girls. So me and her, another girl, were looking to rent a place, but she decided to go on holiday to Spain, which was not good timing because we had to wait till she came back from Spain to actually be able to negotiate getting the place. So she went to Spain and she didn't say that she was back, and I texted and I said, "Are you back?" She was like, "Yeah, I came back a week ago." And would that annoy you?
Yes.
That annoyed me. And another thing that happened is she worked at a bar, and every week I'd go to the bar to keep her company and all that. And she lived near me, so we would always go home together. Like she would drive us home. And she had a boyfriend who also worked at the bar. And I decided to go with her one weekend, and she, at the end of the night, so let's say 5 o'clock in the morning, she says, "Oh, I'm going home with him. How are you getting home?" And that really annoyed me as well, because I felt we go home together every week and you didn't even bother to say that you were I don't care that you're not going home with me. What I do care about is that you didn't mention it to give me a choice about what I wanted to do until it's 5 o'clock in the morning. So I was really annoyed about that as well. So I brought everything together, and when I tell people that I'm upset with them, I don't shout, I don't swear or anything like that. I calmly told her the things that she did to upset me. And she was like, "Oh, well, I didn't know you were keeping a list." And I felt that was really unfair, because if you don't have a list of what someone has done to offend you, they'll say you've got no evidence and what you're talking about. So she said, "Okay, fine." And then she acted like she was taking it all on board and she was cool with it. We didn't speak for a couple of days. And then she contacted me and said, "Oh, her and the other girl had found a house they were going to live in." So she had quickly found something when all the time we were waiting for her.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay. And I must say, before this, in the place that we lived previously, I had a small, dingy Harry Potter closet room. And she said to me specifically, you know what, because you had such a bad room before, you can have the biggest room. She literally said that to me. She said, no, you can have the biggest room this time. I don't really care. So we went to see the place, and I drove all the way to South London with my parents to see the place, and I realised it was a 2-bedroom flat.
What?
And I was like,
hang on a minute, isn't there 3 of you?
Yeah, I was like, okay,
you sleep in the living room or the toilet?
Where am I going to sleep? And then she was like, there was a big bedroom, and she was like, okay, so this is going to be my room, and this is going to be, let's say, Sarah's room. And I realised I don't have a room. And I said, oh, where's the third person going to sleep? And she said, oh, you can make the living room a bedroom.
Oh, God.
And I was so stunned. I couldn't even say anything. And then afterwards, I pulled her aside and I said, I thought you said I could have the biggest room. And she goes, well, I'm looking out for myself because, you know, you obviously look out for yourself. So she said, she said, this is my way of like getting back at you, was basically what she was saying.
Wow.
For nothing.
I was like, wow, because I told you I was upset with you. And yeah, she basically did that to be vindictive, to make me sleep in the living room. So obviously I said no to living with them, and yeah, that friendship was destroyed. Am I being crazy, or does that sound crazy?
No, that's
to you?
horrible. you were treated terribly. Yeah. That's horrible.
It's crazy.
For no good reason.
At all. You didn't do anything wrong. You were actually being a supportive friend.
Yeah, I have stories like that, like a lot of stories.
How about you now?
I've had a few things where friendships don't really work out. People are quite selfish. And from being my 30s, I just literally say, I'm not having that. I pull myself away.
Well, my worst situation was, this was years ago. I was actually pregnant with my son, and I had a close friend. And the thing with me is that when I meet people, I don't know what it is, when I meet people for the first time and I sort of get chatting to them and stuff like that, it's like an automatically the person who I'm talking to becomes really attached to me, and then it just becomes this like really fast developing situation, and then I realize I'm in a friendship with this person, and then obviously when I see the person is doing the things that I expect of a friend, and I start being loyal to them and do the same back. So this is a situation with this particular friend. So I met her, we went to the same college, and we initially met via another friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, and we became really close. We had a lot in common. We had the same kind of sense of humour. So naturally that situation happened and we became really close. When she went to uni, I went to stay with her in her halls. When I was at uni, she came to stay with me. Anyway, back to the situation where I got burned by her. When I was pregnant with my son, she had always had a problem with my son's dad. From the minute she met him, she had always had an issue. He had never done anything to her. He had never met her before, but she had always had an issue with him. And up to now, I don't know what that problem was. But I remember when I was pregnant with my son, I think I must have been about 3 or 4 months pregnant, she had started a rumour that my son's dad wasn't the dad of my son.
Oh, wow.
And she was telling people. And so it got back to me via our mutual friend that, oh, I heard that you're pregnant, but so-and-so isn't so-and-so's dad. And I was like, well, who told you that? Let's just say, for saying sake, Melissa said that. And I said, well, why is Melissa going around telling people that so-and-so isn't so-and-so's dad? And I pulled her up on it. She said that she wasn't saying it. She didn't say that. If I'm her friend, why would I say that? Why would she say that about me? I don't trust her. She trying to flip the narrative that I'm a bad friend for accusing her of saying that. So I actually did. I mean, I'm a bit like Inspector Gadget. So I actually tried to catch her in the act of it. So I got another mutual friend of ours to record a conversation that they had together.
Oh, wow.
And she was saying the same things that she said she didn't say. She was saying it to that friend, and that friend sent me the recording. So I have the proof that she was saying making up this terrible rumour. I remember when my son's dad found out about it, he was so devastated and so angry that why is this rumour going around that, I'm not the father of my child. Yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of friends, like you said, that have been I don't know if it's secretly jealous. I don't know what it is. But I always come into a friendship with an open heart. And I'm always open, and I'm always sort of like I said, loyal. So when I get burnt by a friend, like, I take that really personally.
Yeah.
And it's I deal with it like I deal with a breakup. Like, it really devastates me. That situation devastated me because I truly cared about that person as my friend, and I was always sort of there for them. Up to now, that person can't look me in the face, but it's just devastating when you have someone that you feel like you can trust that's going around saying negative things about you. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be something negative or extreme like what this friend was saying. Sometimes you've got friends that make snidey little comments to try and make you feel bad. Yeah. And you shouldn't never be in a situation around a person that does that at all.
Yeah. You know, I came to a point where I was just like, I'm not taking those friendships. People take advantage of you. Where you sacrifice things, or you go out of your way to do things to make people feel special for their birthdays, or you go out of your way to just encourage them, and sometimes you just don't get those things back. For me, I was just sick of being taken advantage of. Yeah. You know, and I couldn't take that. And in the end, when you go through things in your life, like I went through a lot of things recently in the last couple of years when my mum was ill and stuff, and I have a true friend who I thought was a true friend, never supported me, never called me to see how I was, just expected me to carry on and asking me where I was when she already knew the situation. But you know, people are selfish, and you know, people don't understand things, or they don't know how to take things. But as a person, as a friend, you should say, do you know what, I don't really know what you're going through. I don't understand what you're going through. Can you tell me? Can I help you? I can't tell you because I don't know how you feel. But at least take an interest and say, well, I don't know how you feel, but can you tell me how you feel, because I can try to understand. And those sorts of things, I just thought, no, it's not worth it. You know, sometimes it's about pleasing yourself and encouraging yourself. And you know, I did take it as like a bad way to end a friendship. But in the end, I said to myself, if that friendship is meant to flourish and go back, it will. And if it isn't, it isn't. And I'm not going to sit there and beg for your friendship. I'm not a friend beggar. I'd rather be on my own if things come. I have very close friends, as in cousins as well. So to me, that is my family. Although they're my family, I see them as my friends as well. I don't want to bombard them or be in people's faces, but I have learnt to like be on my own, but also have friendships, but have genuine friendships. And and it's better to have the friends that you have on your that you can count on your fingers, rather to have a range of people.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And you know, and from that, I decided that I don't want to feel like I'm selfish. I don't want anybody to think, oh, I'm friends with them because of this. I don't want status friends. I don't want people to treat me because I'm a bit more dimmer, or I'm a bit more shy, or you know, I walk funny and things like that and things like that. I want people to be my friend from my genuine self. And you know, for me, that's how I live my life, as a friendship basis. I want to be with the people that want to be my friend, and not people that are critical from their friends to me to say, oh, you behave like this and you behave like that. I'm entitled to behave how I want. And as you as my friend, you accept me for who I am, the same way I accept you as you are.
Yeah, so what I've found is that in my life, I often haven't really chosen my friends. Because I'm more of an introverted person, I think extroverted people generally come up to me and start a friendship with me. So I don't often choose my friends. And I think that has led to the issues that I have, because I'm just going along with it. And my personality is quite laid back. I hardly ever put my opinions on other people or say, you know, let's do this or we should do this. I'm more like, oh yeah, whatever you want to do. So I think people interpret the whatever you want to do as being having low confidence. So I think they use that as a target to kind of find a way to demean me or use me or take advantage. And then when I actually do stand up for myself, they get shocked.
Yes.
So they find it a great offence that I stood up for myself, because I'm not the person that they thought I was. Because I noticed, like, when I have stood up for myself, the person acts as if I betrayed them. And I think they do perceive it as a type of betrayal because I never played my role, you know, as the low confidence person who's just going to go along with it. So I feel to improve my friendships, I probably need to set boundaries, like right at the beginning, and not let things go, because I do tend to let things go until they pile up and I have to confront them.
Yeah.
So I think that's a major thing that I would need to do in future friendships.
I think with me, I'm the opposite. So I'm I'm extroverted. I'm very sort of loud, not loud, but like just jovial.
Yeah.
And I'm, you know, very talkative. And I mean, more so when I was a bit younger. I don't think I'm like that as much now. I have to be comfortable in a situation. I think the fact that I've been burnt by so many people and so many friends, my approach to new people has completely changed.
Yeah.
But going back to maybe when I was slightly younger, back then I was very jovial, very, you know, open, happy-go-lucky, jokey kind of person. And I feel like that, in a way, was not negative, but was perceived negative in a sense of people would see that as, oh, well, she's just eager to be friends with everybody.
Yeah.
And because of that, they didn't approach the friendship with me with any respect because I was always the happy-go-lucky, like, laughy, jokey kind of person. Perhaps they thought that I didn't take things seriously, so they could do all that stuff and I just brush it off. I don't know. Now, my approach to friendships is I'm very cautious and wary around people in a sense of if I'm in a new environment with new people, it takes me a while to warm up and then sort of be relaxed and then engage in conversation.
Yeah.
Whereas before I never used to be that way. And I feel like by doing that, I've been able to then assess people better and then sort of decide, okay, well, I'll be cordial and talk to this person and have a discussion, but perhaps it won't lead to, you know, being friends or acquaintances. Or I kind of now look at things with new people, and this is going to sound awful, but I'm being honest. I look at things now sort of with a sort of business kind of transactional kind of mindset. So if you haven't been my friend for 10, 15 years, even 5 years, if you're a new person, I will approach that as in, okay, well, what do you bring to me as a friend? And is it something that's going to be positive and that's going to uplift me? And if it's not, then I'm not going to engage in developing a friendship with you. Does that make sense? Rather than I'll just be nice and friendly with everybody. Because I've tried that approach and I've been friends with people and they have done awful, terrible things to me. And even when I wasn't well, I very quickly realised the people who were my friends and who actually genuinely cared about me and my well-being, and people who were just there transactionally. They're just there because of what they could get from me. You know, I had a friend who I thought I was very supportive to her, very supportive, and I was there for her at her lowest point. And when everyone else who she claimed to be a friend wasn't there for her. And I realised when looking back, those friendships that she had were all transactional. It was, what can this person do for me? In her eyes. And I was just one of those people. I was just a person that if she was ever in financial straits, she knew she could call me and I'd help. I would aid her. If she ever needed assistance with childcare, she knew I'd be there to aid her. If she ever needed emotional support, she knew I'd be there to aid her. It was all about what I was able to do for her. And when it came to the point where I needed her to support me, she was MIA and had a whole list of excuses, which to me made absolutely no sense. And it was funny because people who I thought I didn't really have that close of a relationship with were really supportive to me in my time of, you know, need at that time. So yeah, that's how I approach new people. Obviously people that have been around for years and years, it's just a case of you're like family now. But anyone new coming into my sort of circle or anything like that, it's very much I have to assess you as a person, assess the kind of character you have, and then have a look about whether or not anything you're bringing into my life is going to bring positivity.
Yeah, because I just find sometimes as well, if you're put in a new environment, like I used to join like quite a lot of hobby groups, and some people are a bit friendly and some people are a bit offish. I don't expect to make friendships, I don't expect that, but even when you're talking to a person to say, oh, this is what I do, or that is what I do, or what do you think about this, or what do you think about that, just as interesting hobby. Some people are a bit wary, or whether they're just a bit standoffish, or you know, I always get this feeling like, I don't really want to be friends with you. You get on with it or I get on with it. But just to be friendly in that moment.
Yeah.
Sometimes being in situations anew or with people that you don't really know and you try to be friendly because sometimes I feel like, oh, what's she doing here kind of thing. And it just makes you a bit like, I'm going to stay away from this situation because I don't feel the love, let's say.
Do you feel that now people lack the skills to have conversations with people now? I agree with you on that stance of people being standoffish, and I feel like there's a difference between trying to assess a situation and decide whether or not that person is someone you want to be friends with and just common courtesy.
Yeah.
So if I walk into a room full of people, first thing I'm going to say is, hello, hi to everybody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How are you? And ask them, oh, how's your day been? Just as a common courtesy. And I find that that's not reciprocated.
No.
Some people walk in a room, sit down and not say one word to anybody.
Exactly.
Had that experience today. Walked into the barbershop with my son. The barber knows us we've known each other for a very long time. So the barber says hello. We're engaged in a conversation. But me being a courteous person, I noticed that there's another barber sitting in there who hasn't got anyone in his chair. So my first point of call is say, oh, hi, good afternoon, how are you? Completely blanked me. Like I was a piece of poo on his shoe.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like, wow. But then I realised after watching him, because usually those kind of situations would get me really annoyed.
Yeah.
And then I'd take it personally and I'd feel, well, what's wrong with me? How dare you not say hello to me? I'd take it personally. But I realised, I thought, do you know what? Maybe this person's socially awkward.
Yeah.
And I started to watch him and I realised that his interactions with everybody was like that.
Yeah.
It was kind of just this dismissive, like, oh, I don't want to talk to you. And I just feel like now there are a lot of situations like that. There is this lack of ability to show common courtesy. If you don't want to have a conversation, saying hello and good morning and good afternoon and how are you, even if you don't care how the person is and you say how are you, it's just showing common courtesy.
Yeah. Even like when I first started my job now, which I've been in for about 5 years now, I knew some of the people that worked in the office, but every morning I'd say good morning, nobody says anything. So I kept on saying it. And now, it came to about the third week, and they all started saying morning, and I thought, what is this?
That was your initiation.
I just think it's rude.
And it's like, just say good morning. What's wrong with that? It's manners. It's how we're brought up, and because this goes on, and then I thought, no, I'm going to carry on saying it. Yet they did, and every morning they still say it.
Well, at least you got a breakthrough there. Some people would startly not say good morning or ignore you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've started to notice that a lot.
Some people are also sure, because I know people as well that moved on from the office, and when I see them every so often, I say, oh, hello, how are you? And they're just like, yeah, they sort of ignore you, and then you say it again. Thought, no, I'm going to say hello to you before you start asking me this and this and that. How are you? Hello, I'm saying hello. And I'm not going to back down, because I just think, like, it's manners and how you're brought up. Whatever your social awkwardness is or whatever, hello is just one syllable.
Yeah. Talking about social awkwardness or being ignored, have you ever had those situations? I've had them loads of times, where you're at somewhere new, so it could be the first day at university in your first class, or at some kind of meeting or something, and you meet someone and you are chatting, you'll get to know each other, you're like, oh, maybe we could become friends, and then the next time you see them, maybe the next day or maybe a few hours later, they walk past you like you never met in your entire life.
I don't get that.
That happened to me so many times.
When I first started university, because I was so out of, like, it was South London, didn't really know anybody. I think I knew people in my class. I didn't know anybody in my class, but I didn't know anyone. Didn't know no one. Never met anyone. And for the first week, for 3 weeks of university, I sat and ate lunch all my own.
Aww.
I knew I pick up the classes and knew the same people. And there's only one person, I think it was like 3 weeks later, and she said, why do you always sit by yourself at lunchtime? I said, because I don't know anybody, and no one's going to make
makes me feel
friends.
sad. Like, I would come and sit with you.
No one, but you're my friend.
No, but even if I wasn't a friend, that's something I would do.
Yeah. For the first 3 weeks of university, I used to eat lunch by myself. I used to go to the shopping centre on my own. I used to buy lunch by myself. I used to go to the shops on my own. I used to sit in lectures to people, but after that, just never made anyone. And then literally somebody came up to me and said to me, why do you sit on your own? I said, because I don't know anyone. and no one's willing to make friends. So you just overdo it. And it's not like, I was where I wanted to be. I was doing what I wanted to do. Just didn't know anyone.
I haven't really had. I've had the experience that Ashley's had, whereby I've met people, spoke to them, we've chatted and then next lecture it's like, I don't know who you are. That is baffling to me. But I've always managed to, because this is, I don't know why, but this is what I do. If I go into it, like when I did my AAT, I remember because I was probably one of the eldest in the class. So I did AAT when I was 27 or 28, and everyone else in my class was like in their early 20s. So in my mind, I already knew I'm going to a classroom full of young people. So I'm not really that bothered about making friends, because we're not going to really have anything in common, because I'm older than them. So I kind of got into the class, sort of sat down, found somewhere and sat down. Funnily enough, I made friends with these two amazing girls who I'm friends with to this day. And it's just a case of, I don't know, I don't know whether it's my personality or what. I don't know if I could do that now, but I always find that I'm able to sort of kind of align myself with somebody or some group.
You adapt really well to people.
In a situation, and I kind of like, oh, okay, I kind of got buddies for the day. But I never take it like, oh, the next day or whatever, we're going to be friends. It's a case of, if I see them and we chat, cool. If we don't, all right, I'm going to continue on what I'm doing. I'm very comfortable with, but the thing is, if I saw you and you were my friend, and I saw you every day sitting on your own, not talking to someone, I'd be the person to come and sit next to you and have a chat with you. And be like, oh, how you're right? Oh, you're in my so-and-so class. I'd be that person, because I feel like I don't like the thought of someone being alone. If I came up to you and you were standoffish or kind of dismissive to me, I'd be like, okay, fine, I'll leave you to your business. But I would be that person to come up to you and say hi. I remember I used to terrorise this boy. I'm not going to say his name. In my film studies class, I used to terrorise him because he always used to sit by himself, and I'm like, why are you sitting on your own? Come and sit next to me. I used to do that all the time. And then we eventually became really good friends, because and he was really good. And I remember, because I got a B in that class, because he actually helped me out a lot. But I think he was a bit of a loner, but I used to harass him. I'd be like, I was about to say his name. I was like, come and sit next to me. Why are you sitting over there? Come and sit next to me. Because I feel like you need to be included. It's an interactive class.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I've always found I've always had a friendship experience where, like, you go into a new environment, and because you're with a friend that you have in common with, and if you try and join the group as to be in common with, some people are a bit standoffish, like they don't accept you. And I find it so, like, disappointing. I don't want to become their friends, but at least to say that I'm included. Yeah. Because, I'm a person, I have feelings, and, it's so disappointing when people just think, oh, yeah, you're this sado that, we don't really want you, we just want her. And, I remember one day I was at college, I think it was, and you were off ill one day, and there was this, all, like, some of the friends that you were coming with, they were like, oh, where's so-and-so, where is she today? And I was like, oh, she's not well. And they're like, it was just like a dismissive, like, we weren't asking you kind of thing. I don't want you to tell me. But I said, well, that's where she is. And it's like, it's kind of like a standoffish, like, it was just like, they shut up. Yeah, we wanted to hear it, but not from you kind of thing. You're not part of our group. And that, to me, is so awful when you feel sort of awkward. And, sometimes and as well, I've been in situations where you're part of a group and you try to be interactive, you try to make friends, and so that you have that common, because obviously, especially like when I go to church and things, you just try, because there are young people, there are people your age. If you're going to go to adult groups and things that you want to come, or people that you see, some of the people just be like, don't talk to me because you're talking to my husband. It's like, I want your husband. And it's like, really, like, you're just a person as a Christian as yourself trying to run through life, and for instance, I just say hi. That's it. I'm not going to get involved in their life. I'm not going to be. And then, you go to other groups and then they're like, oh, you don't do this, you don't do that. I said, yeah, because you haven't made me welcome. I'm not going to sit there and be friends with you and think it was all happy and glory if you're not going to be interactive or even friendly about it. And the people around you, everybody has their cliques and and what, sometimes it is sometimes a bit like, well, I'd rather be on my own rather than being in the clique, because it's getting to fit in, and I'm not all about that.
Yeah. Do you think that kind of, going back to the clique kind of thing, do you think that kind of queen bee dynamic is something that you've ever experienced or seen?
Yeah,
in friendship?
like this is why I don't hang out in groups. The most I really hang out with is a 3. I don't like being in big groups because I feel like people start to play positions, and there becomes the queen bee, there becomes the followers. And I've never really been comfortable with being a follower. I've always been someone who likes to dip in and out of groups.
Yeah.
And the group dynamic has always made me uncomfortable. I've always felt the pressure of being a group to conform to the standards that they set. And I've always felt like I've never been a valuable member of a group. So if I go back to my childhood experiences, in secondary school, we had a group of 6 of us that would hang out together. And I always felt that I was the one that, if I wasn't there, it wouldn't really matter. Like, one thing, because I have a lot of social anxiety, I analyse things, like, so much, like, everything I analyse. And one thing I noticed is that, say you're walking in a group, say somebody stops to tie their shoelace. If that person is queen bee, everyone is going to stop and wait. If that person is a non-viable member, like me in most groups, they'll just keep walking while you're doing something and you have to catch up to the group. And I always noticed that I was the one that was always trying to catch up. I'm always thinking about how am I walking? Am I looking like I'm left out of the group? I was really over-analysing because I've experienced that so much in my life, like not being like important or viable because I'm not the funny one. I'm the quiet one. And it was always like the funny and loud one that was queen bee. And you just felt like you had to just get in where you fit in, and I've never been comfortable with that. So yeah, group dynamics is so stressful to me. And even not in friendships, even when I've been at work and we've had to have training days, I can tell that people are trying to find their place in the group that we're in. Oh, I'm going to be the leader of this group. And I'm always the person that people think that I have nothing interesting or good to say. Or I'll be sitting in the middle and they would like talk over me, like cross over me, talking to each other, which is really rude. So, group dynamics give me a lot of anxiety.
Okay. I don't think I've ever been a queen bee in a situation. For me, even when I think back to school, especially secondary school, because that's when those kind of dynamics start to form, I was always the one that was hopping from group to group. But whenever I was hopping from group to group, I had, as you were saying, like I had a position in each group. Because I was always sort of the loud, obnoxious, funny one. So whenever I'd be with this group of girls, that would be the position I'd play in that one. And then I move over to another group of girls and it'd be the exact same position. So I was able to jump from group to group. And I remember in secondary school doing that, knowing, because I remember witnessing one girl being ousted out of a group that I was in. And she was completely ostracized. To the point where she had to join a brand new group of, like, literally had to start from scratch from a new group of friends, from people that she'd been friends with since year 7. I think this incident happened when we were like year 9 or 10. And I remember seeing that and thinking, okay, so I am not going to just have this group of friends. I need to make sure I've got several groups. So if they ever try and ostracize me out, I've got another ship to jump on. And so I was always that person whereby you'd never know which group of friends I'd be with. I might be with these friends hanging out here, but then these friends hanging out there. And that was literally how I manoeuvred throughout secondary school, purely because of that experience that I saw. It's amazing how, and I think we must have been like 14 or 15 years old, but the way that, and at the time, the girl who was the queen bee, and imagine, the girl that was the queen bee wasn't even in our school.
Oh, really?
It was another girl from another school was queen bee of this specific group. And because she had decided that this other girl didn't need to be in our group anymore, she was chucked out. A girl that wasn't even in our school. And when I saw that, I don't know if it traumatized me, but it really woke me up to the situation of, okay, these girls can't be trusted and I'm not going to be in a situation where I'm going to be having to sit on my own. Or do you understand what I mean? And that was at like 15 years old.
Yeah.
And it really sort of made me realise how those kind of dynamics can affect you mentally as
Yeah,
well.
exactly,
Even up to this day, I'm over analysing where I am in the group.
I don't care anymore.
In school, I didn't have a lot of friends in school. I just had, I suppose, acquaintances, and even the group that I had at the end of school, we speak a little bit, but not really. And, you know, it doesn't really matter now, but before, I can say probably in my school days I was lonely. I didn't really have a lot of friends. Not a lot of friends that I can go out with or thing. And even in that sense, I couldn't really go out anyway because my family didn't have enough money, so it's not like I could go out and hang out and go to the cinema often or anything like that, but just didn't have the friends.
I had a lot of friends at school, a lot of friends. Like I said, because I jumped from group to group, so I had a lot of friends in school, especially my year. I mean, my family wasn't super rich, but I tackled that problem by getting a weekend job because I got to the point where I felt the pressures, because obviously we grew up in Essex, which majority of my friends' parents had a lot of money, were quite wealthy, so they were able to afford, you know, all these kind of fancy things and going out every weekend, all that kind of stuff. But obviously my family wasn't in that position, and I got to a point where I didn't want to continue asking my mum for money to go out with my friends, so I got a weekend job, which I'd get and then sort of hang out afterwards. But no, in secondary school, it was where I learned a lot about how, especially females, because I went to an all-girls school, but especially how the dynamics of females are, and the bitchiness, and just like you couldn't trust people. I remember there was one time I had a disagreement with one other girl, and I was talking to another girl about it, and I was saying, oh, like, if I could, I'd slap her. I didn't mean it. I wasn't actively going to slap her, but what she did frustrated me to a point that I said I wanted to slap her. This girl, who I thought was my friend, went and told the girl that I wanted to slap her, and that girl in turn went and told my head of year, and I ended up getting in detention for something that I said but I didn't actually do.
Yeah.
So it was really a learning environment for me, that some people just can't be trusted. You have to be very mindful of the things that you say. You have to be very careful about who you trust or who you let into your personal space. A lot of lessons were learned when I was in secondary school.
I wish that I'd gone to a mixed gender school because I think from sixth form I just found it not difficult to integrate. It's just that I didn't really make a lot of boyfriends, like friends of that I could be friends as my boy mates kind of thing.
Okay.
So that in that sense.
I had male friends in secondary school. I had one really good male friend, actually. Actually, funny enough, he's still my friend to this day. But he was one of my really, really good friends.
How did you meet if you went to a girls'
school? So, obviously, we went to a girls' school, but we had a boys' school, which was down the road from us. And obviously, when you get in the bus and you go to the station and stuff, you interact with other people from other schools. So, I met this boy, and we were talking. I think initially it was, you know, he was attracted to me, I was attracted to him, but it never became like boyfriend and girlfriend. We just ended up becoming really, really good friends. And I had a few, I don't know if I would have wanted to go to a mixed school though.
It's a different pressure.
Yeah, I feel like I would have felt I don't know how I'd have felt about that, because I felt the pressure when I went to college, which was a mixed college. And then I started feeling like, oh, I've got to make sure that my hair's on point. I've got to make sure my makeup is on point. I've got to make sure my outfit's on point. I've got to make sure that I look good every single day, which can be very tiring.
It can.
And then I've got to deal with all these weird feelings of, oh, I think I like this boy in my class, but I can't tell anyone because they're going to go and tell him and I'm going to be humiliated. Yeah. It was a whole nother learning situation. How did you feel going to a mixed secondary school?
I didn't really interact with boys that much. Basically, going to school in Essex, the demographic in my school was mostly white, blonde, or Asian.
Oh.
And I didn't fit into either category. All my friends were Asian, but the cool people were the white girls. So the boys, they liked the white girls. So at that age, a lot of the boys, unless they found you attractive, there was no reason to interact with you. And I was like more on the like geeky side. So there was no reason for them to interact with me. So I didn't have friendships with boys. And I think there isn't that additional pressure because you're more aware of it when you're in a mixed school. You're aware that, so if you are not in the attractive girl group, you're aware of it. You're made aware of it every single day. When a boy doesn't talk to you, whatever. So it is an additional pressure to go into school, having the fact that there are boys there and you're aware that you are not attractive.
Not attractive according to them.
Yeah,
Not
to
that
their
you're not
standards.
attractive. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I do also feel that maybe there would be extra bitchiness in the girls' school. I think I'm better off in a mixed school. I don't know if I would have been able to cope going to a girls' school.
I think an all girls environment is a completely different ball game.
Yeah.
The level of bitchiness and backstabbing and just outright mean behavior. I mean, there were some things that I saw at school how girls were behaving was just disgusting.
But looking back at it, to be honest, it's like I'm so glad I wasn't involved in that, regardless of anything, because even when we went on a France trip, I think there was a group of girls who actually spoiled for the rest of the girls coming years on because they actually had a fight with a French group. We were abroad, and that's the sort of drama that they were going on with. It was just like, now looking back and think like, who wants to be involved in that?
So many years later, I worked as a teacher at the school that you both went to, and I can honestly say it's the worst behaviour I have ever witnessed in my entire life.
And I can believe that.
And I've worked at mixed schools. I thought going to a girls' school would be a lot better. I thought they'd be better behaved. It was awful.
Too much estrogen.
It was absolutely awful. I saw more fights in the girls' school than I did in the mixed schools. It was terrible.
And it's fighting over people that don't even go to the school. I remember seeing girls fighting over boys that don't even go to the school.
Exactly. And it's like they either get the bus to Harold Hill to go to the other school or the bus to go into Romford. It was like, I'm going to meet so-and-so to beat at Romford Station. It was like, me, I was like, I want to get home, so I'd have to see the one beat up from the school. But, I didn't want to be in that situation. There was girls that used to tease me on the bus on the way home saying I'd fancy this guy. I don't even know him. I didn't even know him. I had no clue who he was. I even experienced racism at school and stuff like that. But you brush past, you brush past those things now. But when you look back and you think, I was upset about that one thing. I mean, how stupid. Looking back at it, it's like, how stupid can you get? Like, I'll just tell you like this girl said that I was an African bushwhacker. Now, what is an African bushwhacker? Thinking about it now, it's like, how ridiculous,
What did your friends then say about you being called an African bushwhacker?
I had like small friends in my group, and to be honest with you, because they probably not experienced that, because
did they not stick up for you?
No, because I had white friends who they were quiet, they were timid.
They
didn't say anything.
Oh, see, that was
they didn't say. But to be fair, I had very good support teachers in my group, and they made complaints because they were sick of the harassment, the bullying, so they supported me.
So we could all agree that school really did sort of determine how we viewed friendship and how we approach friendship now.
Yeah, definitely. That's where I experienced my first disloyalties. I had a best friend that I made in primary school, went to the same secondary school, and she kind of drifted off and then made a new best friend, and suddenly, like, out here, they'd gone to Pizza Hut over the weekend and stuff, and I wasn't invited. And that was my first, like, hint of betrayal or taste of betrayal. And I think that really, like, cut me deep. And it still bothers me today, like, the friendships I had in secondary school.
Yeah.
And at university. Definitely.
I think it is helpful when you say things that you wanted to do, or they'd go off and do this because you either didn't fit in their criteria, or you didn't look a certain way, or they're not going to invite you because it's not, they wanted to attract a certain attention, and it makes you feel for you like, well, I'm not the attractive one, so that's probably why they didn't invite me.
And to be real, my friends were Asian. I wasn't invited a lot of the time because of their parents. When I went to their houses, their parents would just look at me. I remember going to a friend's house and we were all playing in the garden, and someone tracked mud in the house, and the parent looked at me and goes, "Did you track that mud in?" There were 5 of us, so why would it be me? So I always felt, I always felt like an outcast because I was an Asian and I couldn't really fit in or experience the things that they experienced. Like they would talk about Bollywood and I wouldn't know anything about it. And they would go out. Some of the parents were friends because they were the same religion. And I wouldn't be invited because I'm black. So I really felt like I really struggled to fit in.
Yeah.
And that has been with me my entire life, like not fitting in. Because I feel like I'm slightly eccentric in the things that I like to do or the way that I think. And I struggle to fit in with people or feel comfortable around people. Definitely.
Yeah, I think I made most of my good friends that I'm friends with now when I was at college. I mean, I don't think I've got any friend from secondary school now. I only have them on an acquaintance basis. So they're like Facebook friends, or if I bump into them in town, I'm like, "Oh, hi," but they're not. My solid friends that I've got now are the ones that I've made at uni or at college. And it's funny because, like I said, I had a load of friends in secondary school, but I don't think I invested the time and energy to develop anything deep after I sort of witnessed what happened to the girl that was ousted out of that first group. I just kind of became sort of like, well, it's the survival of the fittest kind of thing, and this is the way that I'm gonna survive this. This period of my life.
Do you feel like you have the energy now to entertain a lot of friends?
No, I feel like I'm only gonna really old friends, yes, friends that have been around for years. Yes, I always have energy for those people, and I always have time and patience and loyalty and things for those people. But for new people, unfortunately, as Drake says, no new friends. No new friends. I mean,
it's true.
Unless you're very special. It's just something that's just not going to happen. I think I'm happy with the friend group that I have, and I don't plan on changing anytime soon.
No, I agree with you. It's just you can have acquaintances, which I understand, but I'm not gonna leave my friends for people acquaintances. I think it's happy just to be how you are, and have different relationships. And I'm just not gonna. I'm just gonna stay how I am.
So what would be your tips to anyone who's listening on how to spot a good friend and how to spot a bad friend?
I think for me, the characteristics of a negative friend is somebody who doesn't take your feelings into account. So it could be that you're doing everything that they want to do and then they will never ask what you want to do. It could be that they invalidate you. I've had friends who I've told things to them and they've reacted in a way that makes me feel silly or puts me down. And them using different ways to demean you, talking snidely about you, as you said, and masquerading it as a joke. I've experienced that a lot. This is what I've experienced the most. When the friend gets with another friend and they start picking on you or turning on you. I've experienced that where they kind of group together and turn on you. I think that's a trait of a bad friend. And also friends that leave you for another guy and they stop hanging out with you because they've got a boyfriend, and they put their boyfriend before you even though you've known them for a really long time. I think that's an example of a bad friend.
How about you, Natalie? Have you got any tips?
I'll say I just think for making good friends, I think you still have to be wary, always being wary, but you have to have a balance of whether you have enough interests together, and it's about keeping up, talking and and just bantering, and also going out a little bit more and making effort on either side. And if you feel that you're not getting that, I just think you should just kind of leave it. So I think on both sides, I think you both have to make a conscious effort to have those types of friendships, and whether you want to carry the friendship on, and you have to be honest with the person and say, well, actually no, because you're upsetting me now. I think that's important to tell people how it is and what they feel like. I know some people don't like confrontation and things like that, you know, and I get that, but I think like as a person you should either ignore them or just back off.
I think some tips that I would give would be, obviously, if you're going to pursue a friendship with somebody, there has to be the mutual respect there. You have to both respect each other and both willingly want the friendship. I feel like sometimes when friendships fall apart, just as relationships do, is if one person wants the friendship more than another. And I think everyone should be honest about their intentions for the friendship. I think people as well should approach friendships like you would approach a relationship. What are your intentions to be friends? Are you looking for someone to be your financial backer? Are you looking for someone to be your support system? Or you genuinely want to hang out with me because you feel like we have a connection being friends? I also think that you should also find people that have got the same things in common as you. If you enjoy skiing, it's good to have friends who also enjoy skiing. If you enjoy traveling, all those kind of things, I think those are really important things to look at. Tips to, if you're in a friendship with someone, and if that person, every time you see them, makes you feel bad about yourself or make you feel worse than before you met them, that's probably not a true friend, and that's probably someone who you shouldn't be friends with. I know it's difficult to, like you say, some people don't like confrontation, but you have to have that respect for yourself to approach somebody and tell them they've made you feel a way that you're not happy with. And if that person is your true friend and they really value their friendship, they'll listen to you and heed you and work on those things so that you can have a better friendship. I think there's no relationship with anybody, whether it be friendship or personal or intimate relationship, where there's not going to be ups and downs in that situation, but it's the way that you approach and deal with those situations that define how that relationship is going to be.
And one major tip is please learn how to take criticism. And first of all, it's how the person gives that criticism. If that person's respectful and they say, you know, when you did that particular thing, it made me feel a way, respect what that person is saying and try and make ways to change and improve your behaviour. I really hate when people get defensive and they feel like they have no changes to make, and how dare you, you know, tell me that I offended you. And I think a lot of people have that attitude. So I think communication skills need to improve in friendships, and we need to be able to take constructive criticism.
Okay, guys, so I think that is the end of our podcast.
We definitely need to do like a friendship story time, because I've got like 10 more stories. I've got so many stories.
That would be
It's
good.
unbelievable.
All right, get out of my house.
Lovely friends.
Let's Hi guys, thanks for listening to the CANA Girls podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did. Be sure to look out for our next episode and make sure that you like, comment and subscribe. Also follow us on Instagram @TheCanaGirls.